Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Want to welcome on in. Michael Patrick Leahy is otherwise doing other stuff today, so he can't join us in studio. However, excited to have Matt Kittle on with us, also from the Tennessee Star. Matt, appreciate you being with us. And the Tennessee Star has a great article. It's a sad article, but it's a well-written article. You wrote it on the situation involving Stewart Parks. And as Michael Patrick Leahy and I were talking on, I think it was last Friday, about the fate of Stewart. He was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, went into the Capitol, and now this judge, known for giving very onerous sentences, has sentenced Stewart Parks. Of course, everybody knows that he ran for the 5th. He's from Middle Tennessee. 8 months in prison. Let's talk about this. I've got so many questions, so I'm glad you're with us. First of all, Stewart apparently had a public defender, and Stewart's accusation is that the public defender and the judge in this case actually colluded so that Stewart wouldn't have an appropriate defense.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a sad story, no doubt about it. But the accusation from Stewart is that the judge and the prosecutors worked together, and when the prosecutors bumbled their case, you had according to Stewart, you had the judge in this case, an Obama appointee, helping them along, assisting them in staying focused on, what basically he was looking for. That's the charge here, and Stewart says the writing was on the wall in this case.
Let's talk about what he is specifically accused of. He went into the Capitol. He was there on January 6th. And he went into the Capitol. We know that these January 6th tapes slowly but surely are now being released. Has he been captured on video that you know of doing anything wrong inside the Capitol? And what does he say that he did inside the Capitol? And by the way, like a lot of other J6ers, he says the Capitol Police just let them right in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And he's said this many times, that it was a matter of police opening the doors for him and others. Now, he was close to the front of the line. He says he was there peacefully protesting and standing up against what he truly believes was a stolen election. As far as what he's charged with, he was sentenced on 5 different counts, could have gotten up a full 36 months in prison, but he's serving time concurrently. But the one thing, I guess, that they got him on ultimately was that he picked up one of those metallic wands that law enforcement use and was carrying it around for a while. They said he stole it, but he actually left it behind. And even the judge in this case said Stewart did not steal the wand, that he left it behind, even as the prosecution tried to get him on a full theft charge.
Folks who have met Stewart, and I think I interviewed him. I interview a lot of people, but I mean, people that know Stewart believe that he is someone who wouldn't hurt anybody. It's a very upstanding guy. I don't know I don't know if you've met him. I know you've interviewed him, but it seems to me like clearly Stewart is not a threat to society. I don't believe that he had any priors, nothing like that. Yet he's going to get, I guess, 8 months. Talk about the prison that he's going to be sent in. I guess he's going to go and report in February. Where is he going to serve his sentence?
They don't know that yet. It's a matter of, the federal government, the federal corrections side of things comes back, and they eventually assign a prison. It will be a federal prison. He has been allowed, if you will, to surrender himself as opposed to be taken away in handcuffs. That is the one, consolation they got out of this. they don't know exactly when. The prosecution wanted to put him away right after the first of the year, but they argued to have this extended at least until February. They were hoping that they could extend it until April, I believe, but that's what the judge has come back with.
Now, is there any kind of appeal process here? Can he somehow appeal this? I mean, is he out of options and he fait accompli, he's going to federal prison in February? What's next?
Yes, sir. He has begun the appeals process. Again, he will have a public defender in that case, because what people don't understand is when you have the full force of the federal government against you, and in this they do, they have an army of federal prosecutors against Stewart. You just don't have the wherewithal. You don't have the resources to go up against this. So he has begun the appeals process. They will eventually assign him a public defender once again.
Matt Kittle joining us from the Tennessee Star talking about Stewart Parks. And let me ask you, Matt, is this the same judge that has been sentencing some of these J6ers to very, onerous sentences, where a lot of the folks that look at these cases say the sentences are way out of line with what these people did?
You are absolutely right. U.S. Circuit Court Judge Amit Mehta. Again, he was appointed by Barack Obama in 2014, and he has presided over several of the Oath Keepers cases, and I think your audience is very familiar with that. Not only that, in Stewart's case, this is a judge who went absolutely ballistic in screaming at Stewart. That's on the from the bench, as Stewart tried to explain, "Hey, I was there peacefully. The police let us in," and I guess the judge was just beside himself. Just would not allow, or would not give up that testimony, or allow that testimony. And this is the same judge, I will say, that during sentencing continued to call Stewart by his co-defendant's name, didn't even have his name correct. That's also a detail in the story as well of note.
It sounds to me like a travesty of justice. Is there any possible way, and this is probably wishful thinking, Matt, but is there any possible way that with the release of these January 6th tapes, that there might be some exculpatory evidence that might help Stewart in this case in the appeals process?
I think that's very possible, because remember, in this case, what you had was, according to the complaint, you have an FBI agent from, the Division of Domestic Terrorism. And you know Stewart. He's as far away from a terrorist as you can possibly imagine.
Right.
But they have this, guy from this investigator from the Division of Terrorism investigating him. And all they really have, a bunch of Instagram videos and some other things that they show. I think there very well could be some more compelling video that comes out that just further shows what Stewart is talking about.
Man, you've been around a block of time or two, as have I. How much have you been paying attention to these January 6th tapes that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has been putting out? The tapes that I've seen so far, and I've been busy lately, but from what I've seen, a few things. But one of the biggest ones is the fact that you've got these Capitol police officers that are just sort of ushering people through. It's like It's like they're on a guided tour, and then all of a sudden, people like Stewart Parks and others are being sentenced to 8 months in prison for just walking around the Capitol like they're on a tour.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they're showing, first and foremost, what Tucker Carlson showed, earlier, and he got so much criticism for. I think by the time we get through all of these tapes, you're going to find some troubling images. And I'm not going to say there won't be troubling images. We've seen some of those troubling images reported. But I think you're going to see a lot of just what you said, Dan. people who were there, grandmothers, kids who were there. They were part of a moment. They were part of a protest that said, hey, we are Americans. We feel like we got robbed in this election, and we're going to, we're going to exercise our rights as Americans.
Matt Kittle joining us from the Tennessee Star. Let me ask you, how is Stewart holding up? I mean, I can imagine he's just apoplectic.
You've met Stewart. He's just I guess the word I would use for him is a gentle man. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Just calm demeanor, calmly talking about, but yes, very frustrated about the system and the process, very much engaged in the next fight, the next chapter of his defense, but resigned to, if he has to serve 8 months for something he knows in his heart he's right about, he's ready to do that. He's hoping he doesn't have to, but he's ready to do that.
What's up with these public defenders? I mean, so basically, and I've heard this from others as well, or read this from others as well, is that these public defenders, they just want to, plead it, and get out of there, or just not really do much to help these guys. And that's what Stewart is saying as well. And you said even on the appeals process, he's going to have a public defender. Is there any reason to believe that the next public defender will be any better than the one that he had in the first case?
There are sometimes some very good, devoted, committed public defenders, but we all know that it's a public defense.
Yeah.
And they can only do so much to begin with. They only have so much time, and they certainly only have so many resources. As I said before, whatever public defender Stewart gets is not going to be equipped with the kind of resources to go up with the full power and force of the federal government.
Matt, how can folks follow you on Twitter or X? Whatever.
They can follow us, of course, on the Tennessee Star site, and that's where you got to be, because that's where you're gonna get the breaking stories like this and the exclusives.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Have a great morning, and have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you very much for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, prayers for Stewart Parks, man. That is a tough one to hear. 8 months in a federal prison, and by all accounts, I mean, it looks like he was just walking around the Capitol. He had the little light thing, whatever the heck it was. But when you look at what is going on with the outrageous crime in these cities, and how you have actual threats to society who are being allowed to just skate on all of these horrific crimes that they're committing, yet Stewart Parks is going to spend 8 months in a federal prison?